Hello my lovelies, and welcome back to Allotment of the Dead. Absolutely gorgeous it's gone now. Absolutely chucked it down earlier though, which made digging this bit of ground here a little bit easier at least. I've made short work of this one today. Surprised myself even. I'm not getting any younger, and it definitely does your back in after a while. Right, so today this particular area that I've dug over now is going to be used for putting my runner beans in. There's a number of things you can do with runner beans in terms of how you can put them in the ground, and there's also a number of ways or a number of structures that you can produce to actually grow these up against. Runner beans are one of these things that in America they call pole beans. Reason being is because they do grow quite tall, they grow as climbers, and they will grow as tall as you will give them space to do so. So the taller the pole, generally the higher they'll go, and the bigger the plant really. So today I'm going to go back old school and use some bamboo poles. So these bamboo poles are 8 feet tall, pretty much past their best, some of these though. You can already tell I've used these quite a few seasons in a row, and they end up unfortunately rotting, especially the bit that is actually in the ground, and that bit of moisture on the bamboo unfortunately doesn't last forever. But like I say, if you can get nice tall bamboo canes, they will last you probably about 3, 4, maybe 5 seasons. I think these are about four years old or so. I've got some more 6-foot ones that I just bought recently, but these hopefully should do me for another season. The other thing potentially you could use, and I know a lot of people are using them now, is the metallic poles that are covered in plastic. So these green plastic poles, which again generally you can actually buy these as again up to about 10 feet tall really. The good thing about these is they are still quite lightweight. They are coated in this plastic, which will hopefully make them survive a bit longer. That being said, I have used these in the polytunnels quite extensively for the chilies, and the moisture and humidity eventually does get to this plastic coating, and they do unfortunately wear out after a while. And anywhere where there's a damage to the pole, there's a chance of getting water in there, and then that will get into the metal core that's in these, and you end up getting rust, and then it breaks. That being said, what you can do is you'll end up with a smaller pole, because the bit that's basically rusted you can break off, but you can still use it. These are a lot more expensive than bamboo poles. That being said, bamboo poles aren't very cheap either. They are quite expensive, but they are an investment down an allotment. It's something that pretty much most plot holders will have a nice supply, or at least a small supply of bamboo poles, and they become like gold dust. They are something that everybody wants, and it'll be something that everybody asks you to borrow. So you've got to be really careful, because chances are if you lend them, you probably are not going to get them back. So there's a number of ways of doing these structures. So one of the things you can do is you can make a wigwam. So a wigwam is basically something that it's exactly what it says on the tin really. So you end up with a structure that has got a number of poles at the bottom, all going up to a central part, and you can get specialized equipment to actually attach these at the top so they don't move. The thing about this plot is that we do get quite a bit of wind, and the wind generally goes kind of across the plot. I think that is west, so it goes from west to east generally most of the time. The only reason I've got the polytunnel that way round is because it's the only way it would fit actually on the plot, but so ideally it would have been the other way around. but I've experience wise noted that if you were to put the if you put things in a row alongside the polytunnel as beam structures, what you'll end up with is very quickly that beam structure will hit the ground, and you'll end up with basically all the beams falling into the polytunnels, and if you're lucky, not damaging the polytunnel. But the number of years that I've actually picked these beam structures off the ground because the winds have been so high, beams grow really well. They will grow to cover the beam structures you put up, and that creates almost like a barrier, which when a wind hits it, it can basically blow it over. So for that reason, I don't use these plastic structures. They don't last very well in high winds. I also don't use the jute twine as well, which you can get. So the jute twine, I do have a supply of it, but unfortunately, again, when you've got those winds going, this breaks a lot easier than what you could do with, really. Comes in a variety of different colours though, so I've got red and green and purple. Something that when I'm going to a garden centre or a garden show or something like that, I'll generally pick up a ball, especially if it's a different colour. I'm just a weirdo like that, things for different colours. So my connector of choice is, I'm hoping I'm not going to lose any subscribers over this, but it's cable ties. These really do well when it comes to holding up to the wind. You use a couple basically at the top of the structure, and you basically make a structure that is it's got cross points across it as well, and that will enable then hopefully for it to withstand the weather. Right, let me just show you where these beams are that I'm going to put in the ground, and then we'll start sorting out the structure. So beams wise, so these are the ones I put into the plant pots, sorry, the pint glass, and pre-soaked, and as you can see, they're doing really well now. I've just given them a water because they were a bit limp in the aubergine house, but they're going to just start getting the tendrils now, so it is now the time really to get them planted out and in the ground. But they're quite a large plant now, so hopefully they should survive, even if we get a crazy frost, which hopefully we shouldn't get now, because it's nearly June, so we shouldn't hopefully get one now. Right, I'm going to move the camera over to where I'm working, and then hopefully you'll see me as I put the structure up and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got my area all set out really as to where I'm going to want it. These poles here is pretty much set out as to probably the distance I'm actually going to put these this structure apart from each other. So you end up with 2 rows of canes, all joined at the top, and some cross beams across. So the poles we've got here for the cross beams across are 6 foot, just slightly taller than me, because I'm 6'2". No, I'm not. So slightly taller than me. But the thing about these is that this area here is probably only 6 foot wide, and I know I've got a polytunnel on that side. I've got a path the other side. So when I put these cross beams in place, I'm going to have to probably put them like this. Reason being is I don't want the end here to be across the path. I'll be taking people's eyes out and things like that. Definitely don't want to be doing that. The other thing is that this end potentially can end up piercing the polytunnel. If there's any wind that's going to move it like this, then it potentially could end up piercing the polytunnel. So definitely something we don't want to be doing. Right, so I'll get the stuff together now. Let's get the cable ties together. Right, all nice and safe. Right, So each end is going to have 3 tall poles. One basically will start from this side and go in, so this will give it a little bit of strength in this direction, so when the wind blows, that's almost like a brace against the wind in this direction. The other 2 will go opposite each other and crossing at the top. Now, in the past years, I've actually put these quite close together at the top, but the last couple of years I've put them more further down like this, so that you end up with the outside of the poles going a little bit further out and hanging over. So the reason being is that when you've got your beans up on your plant, the bits that are out, they'll be hanging down across the top. So we'll get these into the ground first. Okay, so again, you just want a nice little V shape, and then this one here is to give it some added strength, and again you push that in the ground here, and then you go to your cable ties. You just want to get them together so they're nice and stable before you start on the next one. So again, nice and tight. So if you were making a wigwam, essentially this would be the start of a wigwam. You could probably add another 3 or 4 poles to that, depending on how much you wanted, and then you'll be able to get that in the ground. Right, we'll get to the next row. So again, nicely set out in the ground. Anything that basically where you know the cane is going to disintegrate, it's probably best that you get rid of it at that point. Again, we'll use the cable tie. Let's put them together. Now, these, where they are actually tied, should be about the same height, because then when you put your cross one over, so this one here will need to go across the top and actually connect together. So again, bear that in mind when you're putting it together. This one at the top here, probably not quite so bad. It's not going to go too far if the wind was to blow. So again, nice and tight. Okay, right. So we'll get that back, showing us where we want it. Right, next ones. Again, these are about maybe 6 inches apart. The more poles you put in, the stronger your structure. But like I said, real estate in terms of poles is the expense really with all this. I do have quite a few poles. See, these are actually, because of the way they're warping at the moment, that's basically because of the age of these particular poles. Okay, so far so good. Again, if there is any bendiness to these, try and actually put the bend in the direction you want it to go. Makes life a bit easier for you. I know some of you are actually looking on in horror at this at the moment, looking at all of this plastic. Unfortunately, these ones aren't reusable. You can get reusable cable ties. It's something I thought about. I haven't got around to it this year. These are ones I've had from previous years. I've bought quite a large supply originally when I bought them, so I'm not going to waste them. So I'll use them, and unfortunately, we'll see how it goes. Okay, that one sounds like it wasn't very happy. So again. Okay, trying to do this in a storm probably is not the wisest idea. But I just noticed when the camera fell over that one was slightly too close. Okay, again at this end we'll put in a third bracing one. Oh, that one don't look like it's going to brace much actually. That one's knackered. Right, we'll try that one. Okay. Okay, the clouds here have got really dark. Looks like we're going to have some rain in a minute. Okay, so that's the basic structure set up. So what we need to do now is put over the cross beam. So again, you want to be going between the V's of all of these so you get to the end. Okay, you don't want it hanging over the path. Wedge it down. Get your things to where you want them. So nicely wedged down. Okay, that one there can be tightened up a little bit more there now. Okay, let's just move these across a bit. Less chance of taking my eyes out. Right, so again we're going to need to make sure that this cross beam here isn't going to come off. So again, cable tie there. You don't need one for every single one on this, maybe halfway along. Okay, and then at the other end. Okay, that wind's getting up now. It's a bit scary. I do like gardening, but I don't like getting struck by lightning, so we'll see how that goes. Right, so that's one cross beam put in, and what we'll do now is we'll put another one in about halfway up. So again, you want to go in and out, basic weaving. So if you've done weaving at school, just basic weaving there. And again, remember what I said about the things hitting the polytunnel. We don't want to do that. So what we'll do is we'll move it up like this. Okay, it could be that we end up having another crossbeam further down in the opposite direction, just to make sure that things aren't going to come apart. But again, you don't want to be taking people's eyes out with this. It's bad enough that I'm killing the environment with these. I don't want to be, in effect, causing them damage directly as well. So, right. Okay, right. So that's one. I think I've got another 6 foot one here. Yeah. Okay, and we'll go this side to do that one. Again, we'll go across. Basic weaving skills in front and behind. Okay. I feel a bit of rain now. Okay, so this is going to go over and under. I don't know whether you can see that there. It's going over and then back around the other side, so we end up in effect going around both ends of the pole. I'll show you that afterwards. Again, we'll do the same here. Okay, so hopefully that won't take anyone's eyes out. I don't know whether you can still see me there. So that's your basic structure. So there's a little bit of sideways motion, but it's not enough that it's going to be blowing down, I hope. And then we'll start planting some of the plants out here. And I think I might put another cross beam in across the top there. Again, over and under. It's a little bit more difficult when they're getting closer to the top to actually feed them in, because they're closer together and they don't move as much, which again is probably not a bad thing. If you don't get over and under all of them, it doesn't matter too much, as long as when you put the braces in, everything's fine. Okay. Could definitely feel a bit of rain now. Okay. Okay. Right. Okie dokie. Right, so that's quite sturdy now. Don't think it's going to move too much, hopefully. Again, we'll just put one either end of this. That wind is definitely getting up now. Okay. Reason being, reason why I've got the cable ties as red is because I'll be able to actually find them a lot easier once I've finished using them, and then they'll be easy to get rid of. It means I'm not going to leave the plastic in the ground. It'll probably end up in the ground at some point, unfortunately, with landfill or something like that, but at least on the plot it's not going to be around. Right, so there's my nice stable structure all put together. Right, I'm going to go and get my kneeling pad and then we'll try and get the beans in the ground. Right. Okay, so we have got a nice structure in place now, and the basic next step that we need to do is try and get some of these plants into the ground here, growing up the nice structure we've made. So tools for the job are the hori and a contraption called, I can't remember what it's called actually. I think it's actually something that enables you to attach any of these stems to the support. This enables you to do things very quickly. Let's see if I can get it to work. Right, so there we go. So a nice little contraption, very easy to use, very simple to actually attach your plants to the structure. Something I saw originally on Tony Smith's YouTube channel, and something he has since said is the worst machine he's ever bought, and it's something that basically he found it basically in the middle of his plot in the ground, all basically knackered. I've had mine now probably since he actually said it on his video, so that's probably a few years now, and I've never had an issue with it. Touch wood. We'll see what happens today. Right, so we'll make a start. So the ground here has already been fertilized a little bit with some chicken manure pellets, and what we want to do is get 2 plants for each pole, so that they can grow up the structure here. Right, now I had watered these, so they will probably be quite moist. I think there's no water left in the tray, so they've soaked it all up. So we'll see how this goes. Right, there's a nice little hole in the bottom of each of these container-wise cells, and you can see there's plenty of roots on these. So what we'll do is we'll put it against the pole here, just a couple of them. So again, nice roots on these. So again, two per pole. We'll put the soil back onto them, and this wind, I think they're going to need a little bit of help. So we'll attach them like so. Right, we'll go on to the next one. Now, I'm planning on planting some courgettes quite close to these, maybe along the polytunnel edge here. The thing about courgettes is they do like a lot of water, so having the runoff from the polytunnel hopefully should get quite a few decent courgettes. And then that also enables me then to actually have, in effect, 2 of the Three Sisters style of planting. So Native Americans, they use 3 different vegetables all in together, and each of them help each other to actually grow. So you get the nice beans, so they will grow upwards, anything that's growing upwards. So they would plant their sweet corn, they would then plant their beans, and then they'd also have their courgettes or pumpkins around the base. So the courgettes and pumpkins will help to keep the weeds down, enabling there's less competition then for the nutrients for the beans and things like that. You've got the beans will use the sweet corn to grow up, and that's basically how they used to do it. I'm just going to have courgettes and the beans for these. I'm not planning on doing sweet corn this year. I did it last year, and unfortunately the wind took them, and I pretty much lost the entire crop overnight. And then I put them in my polytunnel into the new build to store, and the rats got them. So this year I'm just basically going to be doing the beans and the courgette side of the Three Sisters. Right, we'll put these next ones in, and then it's actually starting to rain a bit again now. So what I'm going to do is plant the rest of them off camera, and then I'll come back to you afterwards so you can see how it's looking. Right, so that's the second one. Again, we'll give them a bit of a hand with a label. Doesn't have to be tight. And again, backfill in. So there we go. So that's the second one in. 4 plants already in. And again, I've got a lot of plants here to plant. So I will get back to you once I've finished these. Okay. Okay, so as soon as I started planting, the heavens opened, so I'm absolutely drenched now. But that's the first of the beans all nicely in. Hopefully they should continue to grow nicely. I've tied them all in. I've got loads of spares in case these don't survive. But I'm going to make another wigwam somewhere as well with some more on it as well. So just so you can see kind of the difference between the two as they're growing. Some with the, as I say, the structure here, and some with a wigwam structure. I did find some of the things that we used in the past to try and stop the canes from moving. So these would have been used before. You can use them in a variety of different ways. What I've done with these today though is just use them so that you don't end up poking your eyes out. Right, okay, so that's the first of the beans planted. I've got loads more beans to plant. I'm absolutely drenched though, so I'm getting cold. The thing about getting wet is that cold comes in very quickly afterwards, so I think I'm going to call it a day for today. But that's kind of how I would basically tackle putting the runner beans in. Pretty much done it the same way every year now, for probably the last 5 or 6 years. I usually do a long structure. I do sometimes put in a couple of wigwams here and there as well. I've got about 5 or 6 other kinds of beans this year, so I'm going to put those in the ground. Again, some of them are pole beans, some are bush beans, so I'll have to spread them out as they need. I'm probably going to have to check actually which ones are pole beans and which ones do end up as small bushes and end up more of a kind of a French bean kind of look to them. Right, so that's all for today. I'll get back to you again soon with another video. I'll show you kind of once I've planted out all of the other beans as to what the area is going to look like, and then the courgettes will be dotted around amongst them as well, just so you get a kind of that two of the three sisters going. So all the best for now. Take care. Bye bye.